Welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, the show for disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries who know they're here to change the damn world. I'm Kylie Patchett, your voice and visibility catalyst, and here we dive into unapologetic truth, magnetic messaging, and visibility that actually feels good in your body, your bones, and your business. We share the stories of the out-of-the-box, neuro-sparkly, creative, witchy wild ones, rewriting how we live, love, learn, and lead. This isn't about being louder. It's about being rooted, resonant, and regulated so you can be real, raw, and ready to roar. If you're done contorting yourself to fit the mold and you're ready to own your voice, your power, and your place in the revolution, welcome home. Let's dive in. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. It is a beautiful spring day where I am, so I hope wherever you are enjoying gorgeous weather. It never ceases to amaze me, though, because all of my friends in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, are snuggling in and starting the baked apples and the soups and the delicious casseroles. And here I am, like, stripping off and going to the beach. So anyway, wherever you are, welcome. Today, I want to share a little aha adjustment of the soul. I call them chiropractic adjustments of the soul that I had recently when I was talking with the beautiful Andrea Tessier, who is a friend of mine, an IFS practitioner, master life coach. She'll be actually on as a guest in about 2 weeks' time. So keep your ears tuned for that. And Andrea had come into my Raw Revolution group. I love to have visiting practitioners who I know, like, and trust and have worked with, just to share their own modality, their own ways of thinking about things, their own perspectives, because I'm very, very aware that, I'm only one person, and the ability to fold in other people with their expertise, and also for the ladies inside of my circles to share and support each other with their own medicine, is really part of this beautiful co-creation, which I am obsessed with. That's why I'm always talking about co-creation, because, it's a magical thing. I always trust the perfect fit of people come together in circle for any offer that I have, and this has been no different. So when Andrea came, she was sharing about entrepreneurship through the lens of this internal family systems, and she said so many cool things that I wrote down on sticky notes and had all over my desk at the time. And one of the things that we got to talking to was this concept of when most of the internet markets to people, they're doing that awful pain point marketing where you're saying, if you don't have this will be the cost, etc. And it's a very specific flavor, right? From a sales psychology perspective, yes, it may work, but for me and lots of other heart-centered, disruptive, rebel entrepreneurs, we don't want to play the game, right? And Andrea said something and I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. Say that again. And she's like, because when we are marketing, if we are not marketing to that person's authentic self. Now, for a little bit of background, if you don't know internal family systems, the concept of internal family systems is that just like in a family system, if you think about, parents, kids, siblings, etc., there is a way of those people interacting in ways that kind of keep the system in balance, no matter how chaotic that balance might appear from the outside, right? And the same can be said for our internal system. So our internal family system is about the different parts of us that might say, oh, I really, I've got this big party to go to. A part of me is really looking forward to it. And a part of me is like, I don't know, it's a lot of work, or I don't really like that many people, or whatever the story is. And so a lot of us use the language of parts work, but don't realize that that's what we actually use it. So the other concept in internal family systems is that there is wounded exiles, so smaller, younger parts of us that have experienced some painful experience, and that might be big T trauma, it might be little T trauma, it might be anything in between. And they have formed in the system these protectors and sometimes managers that actually are trying to kind of run interference between the world and that wounded part to make sure that it doesn't experience the pain that it experienced that felt very uncomfortable. So we develop these parts of ourselves that they try and protect us before something happens or after, which is more what's called a firefighter. And when we are in business, and we've talked about this before on the show, entrepreneurship is self-development on crack. It is on steroids. You'll never get a wilder, more intense ride for self-development. And when we're actually in our self energy, so S with a capital S, self with a capital S, which is that authentic part of us that, if you think about it, like in internal family systems, they have the 8 C's. So if you think about feeling centered and calm and courageous, curious. So it's the very opposite of when our parts come out to play, where they might be distracting or procrastinating or getting angry or, binge eating or drinking wine every afternoon because you can't stand the pressure of entrepreneurship. So all of those are not authentic self energy. Anyway, in the end, Andrea said this thing about if we are marketing to someone's parts, as in the protectors, the ones that are driven by fear, the ones that are driven to protect us, then that is creating a very specific energy in our businesses, right? So when we can actually sit back from that and market not only from our self energy, but also speaking to the person that you're wanting to attract into whatever offer that you have open, when you're speaking to their authentic self energy, that's a whole different dynamic. So if you just feel that in your body, I'm not marketing to you saying, I want to actually activate the part of you that is afraid that your business won't be successful, that you won't make enough money to stay as an entrepreneur, that you won't work with the soulmate clients. So it's all about black luck, right? Versus if I'm in my authentic self and I'm really clear on what I bring to the world, what my genius zone is, and this is why I often talk to clients about fuck yes conviction, because if you don't have an offer suite that is full of what I would like to call fuck yes conviction products, where you're like, you're crazy not to do this, and not from a fear creating perspective, but from of course you want to do this. This is literally the best thing that I've ever created. And I've seen the transformation, and I am so, so solid and grounded in my self energy to know that if it's a good fit for you, it will speak directly to your soul, it will resonate, and you will be a yes. And I don't have to grip or grasp or grind or, do that grabby kind of marketing that you can see on the internet sometimes. And, I've been really, really sitting in reflection also of I think probably about this time last year, it was in November sometime, I made a really bad mistake. And if I'm really honest, actually it wasn't November, it would have been December because it was after Scene. Scene ran the 15th to 25th of November last year, and it was after that. So anyway, around about this time last year, I made a really bad business decision. And when I look back, hindsight's a beautiful thing, right? But when I look back and when I really own my own part in that bad decision, because yes, the program I signed up for was misrepresented. It was very full of hype, and then you got in there and no substance. All of those things are true. And also, there was a part of me that was not believing that I had what it took to go to the next level of my business, because I'd just been on the back of this massive, massive wave of expansion. And sometimes when we expand really quickly, we get to this outer limit and our system just goes and shrinks back in again. And with hindsight, I can see that's what was happening. I had an active part of me in fear saying, I don't know whether I can do this the next, that was a fluke. Excuse me. What if I can't do it again? I really need to be expanding. It was all very, very growth oriented, which there's no problem with growth oriented, but it was driven by a fear. I can really, really, really feel viscerally the energy I'm in now and the energy I was in then. And I feel like I am much more often. I mean, no one has this like one and done, but I feel much more like I'm in my authentic self energy much more of the time. Whereas that decision was made with a part of me active that was like, you can't do this by yourself. Someone else has to have the answers. There's someone external to you. And I also bought into the coaches to coaches pyramid that says, I said that wrong, but anyway, whatever. That says that there is something broken with you and you need this program and you need to spend a shit ton of money to actually get access to the answer. So it's funny that Andrea and I were having this conversation in this beautiful circle of ladies that I have now called the Revolution. And I just had that, chiropractic adjustment. I was like, oh, yes. Number one, this year, I have mastered the art of sitting in my own genius zone and being very unapologetic about who I am, what I offer, what I don't love and therefore don't offer anymore. And I can see that this time last year, there was a part of me activated that was directly spoken to by that marketing that was talking to the fear. And I just want to posit a question for you guys. Number one, have you ever made a decision in your business to invest in something out of fear and then 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the track, realize that, oh, wow, I actually made this decision from a place that was not my authentic self? Maybe you don't use that language, but you've had that realization. You're like, there I go again. There I go again. But also my second thing is when you are marketing your own business, what would change about the way that you talk about yourself, your work, your genius, your services, your fuck yes offers, if you were marketing directly from your authentic self, calm, grounded, curious, compassionate? I never remember all 8 of these. Anyway, centered. What would happen if you marketed from that place and you only spoke to the authentic self in that person? And I would like to suggest that what would happen is that the flavor of your marketing would change from the whole concept that the coaching world is built on, which is you are somehow broken and you need fixing. You will be stuck or wrong or still wherever you are at this before state without this solution. And instead of that being the backbone of our marketing, actually speaking to you are a sovereign, amazing, magnificent human being, and you will know, if I'm talking directly to your authentic self, you will know whether this program, this offer, this coaching relationship will actually help you to access something that you honestly cannot access in your authentic self. I guess it's a really long way of saying it would be so much more respectful of yourself and your potential clients and your work in the world if you went out there without any need or fear or doubt running the show. And I guess that's where, if you're listening to that going, great, that's completely impossible because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm in fear a lot of the time. I would say find yourself a tool or a multiple, set of tools in your toolbox where you can actually pattern interrupt when the fear turns up. So we all have patterns. We all have patterns that will come online when they're triggered by a particular thing. The growth in entrepreneurship and also in just being a human comes from being able to interrupt the pattern that are these very familiar, we used to call them the yellow slippery dips in another program that I was running. Very familiar patterns. But if you can pattern interrupt that and be like, hello, beautiful part. And the other thing that was really strong for me in Andrea's session, these parts really want to communicate with us. And yet a lot of what we are kind of taught about behavior change is like, that's a bad part of us, or it's something that we need to overcome or push down, or it needs to be dealt with. And I'm like, the whole language behind parts work and the way that I work with clients is these parts are showing up because they want attention. And the more that we can make friends with them, the more that we can be gentle, the more that we can tend to them and be like, hey, buddy, you're like, what do you want me to know? The thing that blew all of the revolutionaries' minds the other day was the fact that these parts were so ready to speak with us, so ready to give answers. Now, of course, in a group situation, we weren't dealing directly with a very, very big part of the system that was very strong or was, tangled in trauma or whatever. Of course not. But even the simple process that we did in a group where we asked one of those parts to kind of come forward and hang out for a bit, they are so ready. They are so ready. So get yourself some tools. If it is IFS, I'll put the links for Andrea down below this episode. As I said, Andrea will be on in a couple of weeks' time. She's just such a beautiful human, so knowledgeable about parts work. And I know that she is just about to run a couple of workshops, etc. So if you're new to parts work, you might want to check that out. The other thing that I highly recommend is if you don't already use something like tapping in your day-to-day as an entrepreneur, and I do mean day-to-day. When I said that to a client the other day, she's like, you don't really mean, though, day-to-day, do you? I'm like, yes, I absolutely mean day-to-day. Because here's the thing. These tools are great at pattern interrupting when there is something up in the system. But what's even better is you are working with especially somatic-based tools like EFT. You're working with them so often that you're actually expanding your capacity to feel, to be in emotion, to know that you've got this, that you can hold it. So we don't wait until the emotion is like fully triggered and the part is out to play and things are feeling very, very chaotic and disrupted. We work with those parts every day because this is about building a relationship, right? So if you don't already have one of those tools, please find them for yourself. You are a magnificent human being. You have gifts inside of you, which I call genius, that the world needs, that your soulmate clients need. You deserve a business that is sustainable. That means nourishes you as much as it nourishes your clients, brings in beautiful income in overflow in exchange for the gift you bring to the world. Your business can be, yes, it's this giant roller coaster of like self-development, but it can be the gateway to you accessing all of this beauty and abundance and satisfaction and contribution and connection and collaboration. And it only will happen if we can just let the system calm down enough for that authentic you to come out to play. And that means that if you don't already have these tools, you need to go get them. So check out IFS with Andrea. If you're new to tapping, you might want to look out for Unapologetic, which is my new coach in your back pocket. Oh my goodness. I am so happy to have sent this out in the world. I'm just getting some beautiful, beautiful feedback saying, oh my God, Kylie, I have forgotten how effective tapping is. So people that have tapped before, but, with a lot of us, like I resist this sort of work as well. And I feel like that's another episode in its own. Maybe that's the next episode I will share with you. How good are you willing to allow this to get? But yeah, just leaning into something like tapping that's very easy and it's accessible, and particularly with something like Unapologetic, which steps you through suggested tapping scripts, which are specifically designed with your specific visibility block in mind. So if what's coming up is a fear around being seen, speaking your truth, marketing yourself, offering your genius to the world, Unapologetic would be a beautiful place to start. And the feedback I'm getting back, it took me a long time to birth that little bot baby, but far out. The feedback and the ripple that she's creating in the world is just magical. And at the moment, I should say, I have just made a crazy decision in the last 10 days, as I want to do, that we are shifting my entire business from one platform to another. I have been disgruntled about some of the things that were represented in the platform that I was with, and it is very important to me to do business with people that have the same value system. And particularly when I'm working with disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries, and particularly with what is going on in many parts of the world, I was just feeling very much so that current software was out of alignment. And so I found, by absolute kismet, I have just joined a human design certification with Annalena Fuchs, which I'm excited as hell about. And she is on this platform called Ivory. And Ivory is two Australian ladies, mums with really amazing corporate backgrounds that have joined together to put an all-in-one platform together. It is built on Go High Level. So if you're familiar with that, you will know kind of the functionality it has. But this has got beautiful templates. And as soon as I saw Annalena's site and her membership site and how beautiful and spacious it was and how easy it was to get around, which is not the current, situation in my own client portal and membership site, it's a bit clunky in functionality. I was just like, I need to talk to these ladies. And I had a sales call and I was like, I'm all in. So it's a huge job. Oh my goodness, it's a huge job. The reality of the huge job is starting to set in. But the good thing for you guys is that I am actually having a closing down sale, as in closing down the portal, not closing down my business, obviously. And so everything on my store page is 50% off, and my intensives, my full day and half day intensives, are 25% off. So you can use the intensives anytime for the next 3 months. So you just need to, book and pay, and there's payment plans. So if you've been on the edge of wanting to work with me one-on-one, or you are looking at digital products like Unapologetic that I just spoke about, they are all 50% off at the moment. I don't know when the sale will end because I have no idea how long it will take me to move everything over. But I would say you've got maybe a couple of weeks. So anyway, that is it from me, friends. Please do yourself a beautiful favor of just noticing where you are in your marketing, whether you do have parts coming out to play, whether you are specifically pain point marketing, which is very much speaking to the fear in someone else, and just sitting with the integrity of that. Are you comfortable running your business with that value system? And if you are, that's cool. I personally don't believe that we need to do that. I believe that the authentic self in me can talk to the authentic self in you, and that you are a sovereign being who can make decisions about whether what I'm offering is something that is a good fit for you or not. And we don't have to bring fear and parts and, pain point marketing. It makes me feel like I've got a voodoo doll. Anyway, all right, my friends, that is it from me. I will see you next time. Have a beautiful day. I'll put all the links for the sale and Andrea down below. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If this episode lit a fire in your body, in your business, deep down in your bones, please take a moment to drop a rating and review so more rebels just like you can find us. And don't keep this goodness to yourself. Share it with your disruptor, rebel, and revolutionary friends who are ready to roar right alongside of you. Until next time, stay wild, stay unapologetic, and stay fucking free.